Hello, and welcome to the Spooky Chris podcast. My name is Chris Ringler. I am the aforementioned Spooky Chris. I appreciate you joining me. I am going to introduce myself. I usually kind of bust into my whole 3-cent elevator pitch, but I figured I would reintroduce myself. I've been at this for a couple years now, and I say that a couple years. I've been at this for a handful of years, doing a solo podcast. And so I thought I would, as I say, reintroduce myself. So my name is Chris Ringler. I am an author. I have been writing since since I was a teenager. My first book came out in 1999. Since then, I've published over 20 books, about 23 books, I think, something like that. And been in some other books with friends or in anthologies. I've always loved writing. I've been writing, like I say, since I was a teenager. I got really serious as a teenager. Always kind of had a big imagination and wanted to kind of be a storyteller, and really focused on that in my teens. And I love writing everything from short stories to movie reviews, blogs, longer fiction. I've even tried my hand at poetry. You can find all of my stuff at Amazon.com, or you can find everything at spookychris.com. That's my website, where I hang my shingle, as it were. All of my blogs and movie reviews and links to my books and my short films and everything I'm kind of working on is there. I've written everything from, I love horror. I'm a big horror person, so I have lots of horror. A fantasy series called The Meep Sheep, some children's books, a cozy mystery. I'm trying to think what else. It's a couple of darker fiction books. And I love to write. It's been fun in the past few years, kind of wrapping up some longer projects I've had, stories that I'd worked on and needed to finish up or needed to get into the world or whatever. And that's been really fun, and it freed me up to kind of experiment a little and try to stretch myself a bit. I am self-published. I have been published. I received 2 honorable mentions in Year's Best Fantasy and Horror for short fiction that had been in 2 of the Bare Bones anthologies. I had a story in Cthulhu Sex when that was still being published. I had stuff on, what was it? I've had stuff on websites. I'm trying to think of one of the websites. I can't remember. But I've been at this a while. I would take my stuff to comic conventions and to art shows and stuff and just have chapbooks, which is basically a sampler of your stuff, before I had a book out. And then my first book, I'd have that to kind of supplement the first book. And now I just have so many books that I think it's almost too many to kind of present at once, because it just kind of stops people short, and they're like, that's a lot. That's which is interesting, because to me, I like to write, and I got this one life to live. I'm not gonna not put the work out. But it's interesting because people will stop and go, oh gosh, you wrote all of these? And they don't ask, like, oh my gosh, this looks great, that looks great. They get stuck at that's a lot. You wrote all this. And yes, I did. So that kind of stops me short, I'm afraid. Outside of writing, I've made a couple of short films. I've been involved in making movies since I was a teenager, making them with friends. And like I say, I've made 2 on my own. Was involved in every aspect of it: writing, directing, shooting in them, special effects, helped score both of them. I've helped other people make movies. I wrote part of a film that was shot but never ever edited, so I'm afraid it's lost to time. So I have a deep, deep love of movies in general, but horror, as I said specifically. I've loved scary movies since I was a kid, watching them with my mom, and will always love horror and be drawn to that. And I like reviewing movies. I review movies for Jackass Critics and review them for my site now. I have my own little process. I made a bit of an ass of myself once because I reviewed a movie and I just did not like it, and made very clear that fact. And the director reached out to me and said, and basically thanked me for the review and for my honesty. And he and I started up a friendship, a long distance friendship, because of that. Because he was just a very humble person who appreciated that I gave his film some ink, and he actually laughed at the review. And those kind of smarmy, snarky reviews have had their place, and I could see that, but anymore I don't do that, because especially having made them, I just try to respect people's what the time and effort they put into it a little more now. But I love reviewing movies. I love blogging. I've blogged for 20 some years now. I have big opinions and big thoughts on everything, Ergo, the podcast, because God knows everybody has to have a podcast now and has to know what I feel. The fun thing in recent months is I've been able to start interviewing some really great people, authors, some filmmakers, people behind the scenes in the movies, and that has been really fun. And I look forward to doing more of that. And just getting an opportunity to talk to really interesting people and to learn about what they're doing, and to kind of help them get the word out into the world. It's not easy being a creative, and we all need one another and need to kind of help one another get the word out. And if I can help in some way, then that's great. I've been involved in the arts since 2005, I think, putting on art shows, or other kind of culture shows. In 2011, with the help of some friends, I started a horror convention, and we did that, I think 3-4 times. And then we started doing, local film showings and concerts and art shows and all manner of stuff. And I've been involved in that kind of scene for a while. I left that group and started my own solo thing, and that's kind of on the back burner now. And again, like, I put on film festivals and did shows. I love doing events. In my area, it's not the most receptive. It's not the most well received necessarily. Like, the fans are here, and I'm doing it on my own dime, so I don't have the investment, the capital to invest in it. So that's on the back burner. And obviously, I love the podcast. I like bringing my strange view of the world to all of you, and hopefully somebody gets a kick out of it. I just wanted to reintroduce myself. Because as I've gotten a chance to speak to some authors and other folks, I've gotten more ears on this, and I thought you'd like to know a little more about me. I am married with a kid. I have like a kiddo with a giant sassafrasitude, and we are all three very strange, and happily so. And that's kind of where I'm at. I do this on my own in my basement. I do the editing. There's no writing involved, other than, like, if I'm interviewing people, I do some questions, and I just like to kind of keep that open to conversation and just kind of have a path in mind, but like to keep the conversation, the opportunity for conversation there. But that's about it. I hope that you check out my podcast. The previous episodes, I've done a whole lot, well over 100 episodes, and I try to keep these bite-sized because, I get that everybody's time is precious, and unless I'm interviewing someone, I try not to take up too much time on my own, just because I don't know that what I have to say is that important that I need to take up too much time. But you can find everything at spookychris.com. My podcast is available on all or most of the podcast streams. Just look up Spooky Chris or Chris Ringler podcast. All my books are available at amazon.com in Kindle or paperback form, and I hope you give it a listen. And if you are a creative and are creating art or books or movies or music, and you want to talk sometime, shoot me an email. My email stuff is on my website. Shoot me an email. Maybe we can figure something out and I can get you on the podcast. I hope you are well, friend. You take care of yourself. I will talk to you soon.